Chapter 211. The matter blew up. Normally, Ethan would be communicating with the sales director if he had a problem. He wouldn't usually call for a team leader. Norma's bubbly demeanor quickly turned sour. Olivia, I've said it before. You have limited experience. Since you joined Team C, you should focus on learning. Instead, your mind seems to be filled with all sorts of nonsense. Did you make Mr. Miller angry? Did you think you could do whatever you wanted because you had the looks? Who do you think Mr. Miller is? Do you know what happened to the last employee that tried to seduce him? Olivia felt that she had been unlucky lately. Nothing was going her way. She went to the secretary's office once. The colleague who was all cordial before was already reprimanding her. The words that came out of her mouth were so unpleasant. Olivia said calmly, I didn't get to meet Mr. Miller. I just submitted the strategy chart to the secretary's office. I don't know how I could have angered Mr. Miller. Nothing like this ever happened when we handed in the strategy charts. Why did something happen as soon as you did it? Stop pretending. You're the one to blame for this. That's right, you should bring her along, Miss Linden. The others began chipping in. They wanted to pin everything on Olivia. Olivia finally understood what it meant to be in the rat race. Olivia followed beside Sophia. Sophia said with a gloomy expression, Olivia, you are on a 3-month probation. You know what you need to do for me to pass you. Olivia knew. Sophia wanted her to take the fall. Did she think Ethan was stupid? Olivia said with a cold smile, understood, Miss Linden. The elevator doors opened. Sophia immediately bowed when she saw Brent. Nice to see you, Mr. Ingram. She noticed that Olivia only nodded her head. She patted Olivia's back to signal her to bow as well. Brent quickly said, stop wasting your time. Mr. Miller is waiting for you. A hint of nervousness crossed Sophia's face. Mr. Ingram, can you please let us know what's going on? About Mr. Miller. You'll find out when you go in. Brent kept up his cold demeanor. He stood at the door and said, we're here. Sophia felt weak in the knees. This was her first time at the CEO's office. Brent opened the door, and he said, Mr. Miller, they're here. He then turned and left. Sophia's legs were trembling. She began to walk stiffly. Olivia almost burst out laughing. All traces of the arrogance that Sophia had moments ago vanished. Mr. Miller, you asked for me. Sophia was so nervous she could barely even manage to utter a complete sentence. Olivia's eyes fell on the cleaner in the corner, who was cleaning the bookshelves. Cleaners usually have fixed working hours in the morning or at night. They don't usually work while the boss is in the office. She wondered why Ethan would allow someone to clean the office while he was still there. He was a man who was very concerned with his privacy, after all. She observed the cleaner. The cleaner had a hunched back and a bony physique. The exposed skin was tanned. The cleaner's head was lowered so Olivia couldn't see the face. An ashtray landed beside Olivia's feet with a loud sound. It shocked her. Sophia was so frightened that her knees gave way, and she dropped to the floor. Ethan looked at Olivia and asked, what's so interesting that you had to stare? Olivia snapped back to reality. Ethan threw the strategy chart before Sophia. Is this the strategy your team came up with? A monkey can do better than that. Ethan didn't pull any punches when it came to insults. Chapter 212. This was the first time Olivia had seen Ethan at work. She realized that she wasn't the only person that he treated badly. Sophia was scared out of her mind. She anxiously said, please don't be angry, Mr. Miller. This proposal is, Olivia, you say it. She looked back at Olivia and saw that she had no fear in her eyes. Even her back was straight. Olivia's eyes were also calmly meeting with Ethan's. She thought Olivia was very brave. She quickly dispelled her drifting thoughts and snapped back into reality. Olivia saw her pleading gaze tinged with threats. She said, which part of my proposal are you not satisfied with, Mr. Miller? Ethan narrowed his eyes and said, you made this. Ethan knew she had only been working for 2 days. Normally, the team leader wouldn't even let a new employee take part in such an important job. This proposal was linked to the quarterly evaluation and year-end bonus. It was apparent that the team leader wanted Olivia to take the fall. Olivia was not stupid. She said, Yes, I took part in it. Sophia was not satisfied with Olivia's words. If she only took part in the planning of the proposal, she wouldn't be able to take full responsibility for it. Which did you take part in? Ethan asked. In Sophia's expectant gaze, Olivia pointed at the proposal and said earnestly, I printed the whole thing out with my own hands. Sophia was at a loss for words. Ethan held back his smile. He was the only one who knew her obedience was just a farce. He knew she was a fighter at heart. He had lost count of how many times his head was hit by the things she had thrown at him. Sophia hissed through gritted teeth, Olivia, why are you joking in front of Mr. Miller? Why are you talking about printing? Aren't you the one who suggested this proposal? Please understand, Mr. Miller. She's still learning the ropes. Olivia thought about the team meeting yesterday. She was new and had unknown origins. Sophia feared that she might be a spy from another team. She didn't even allow Olivia to sit in the meeting. Olivia didn't mind. She wasn't here to work anyway. But she was displeased that Sophia tried to pin all the blame on her. She was angry that anyone thought they could just bully her. Olivia didn't even need to speak. Ethan tapped the table with the fingers of his right hand. His gaze fell on Sophia. Nonchalantly, are you telling me that your team's proposal was made by a new employee who just started? That's right, Mr. Miller. Sophia had stood up. Her back was slightly bowed. She had a subservient expression on her face. If that's the case, she should be the team leader instead. Sophia's expression changed immediately. Mr. Miller, that isn't a great idea. She is a new employee. She has no achievements on her record. She was formerly a medical student and has no experience in sales. Ethan slammed his palm on the table and stood up. So, you do know she's just a new employee. Yet you tell me that a proposal for a project worth millions was made by her. Are you mocking my company? Are you telling me that none of the veterans are better than her? What nonsense are you sprouting? Sophia was shaking in fright. She kept stuttering. Mr. Miller, I do it again. If I see such trash from you again, take the entire team and get out of my company. Yes, Mr. Miller. Sophia quickly picked up the proposal. Olivia left the office with Sophia without looking back. She wondered why Ethan pulled such a stunt. Once they were back at the Team C office, Sophia said with a cloudy expression, "Come with me to my office now, Olivia." Okay. Sophia shut the office door with a loud slam. Chapter 213. As soon as Sophia entered the office, she threw the proposal at Olivia. Go and submit your resignation to the HR department now. There's no place for a person like you in my team. Olivia gave her an icy smile and said, How bossy of you, Miss Linden. I did not make any mistakes. On what grounds are you firing me? Sophia vented all the frustration she suffered from Ethan on Olivia. Her face was twisted in anger. She no longer wanted to keep up the facade. On what grounds? The fact that we don't need an idiot like you in the workplace. I'm an idiot because I don't want to take the fall. Even if I did, would Mr. Miller believe it? Or do you think he's as dumb as you are? Sophia slammed her hand on the table and yelled, Olivia Fordham. That's me, but if there's nothing else, I'll be excusing myself, Miss Linden. Also, I am a contracted employee. If you want to fire me, you should acquire the company first. Olivia left the office without looking back. She even went to the pantry, got a glass of warm water, and swallowed some stomach medicine. She didn't care about the gaze of others, nor did she care about their biting remarks. Everyone understood for a fact that the failure of the proposal had nothing to do with her. But her noncompliance had angered Sophia. Even if she stayed, Sophia would make her life hell. Still, these cunning veterans would never risk offending the team leader for a new employee like Olivia. They began to isolate her. They wanted to force her to quit. Even if she didn't quit today, she would still be fired when the results of the quarterly evaluation were out. No one felt the need to befriend a person that was soon to be gone. Naturally, they treated her with disdain. Damn, I didn't think you had that in you, Olivia. You acted so prim and proper. I thought you were docile. But you dared to stand up to Miss Linden. She was assigned to our department out of nowhere. She must have someone backing her. Naturally, she's bolder with her words. Olivia turned slowly to look at Norma. Miss Talbot, since you know I have a backer, why are you still barking so loudly? Aren't you afraid that my backer will hear you? Her words caused the entire office to fall silent. What did she say? Was she here to restructure the workplace? Norma was in shock. She didn't expect it to play out like that. Who would flat out admit that they had a backer? She recovered from her daze, and her face flushed in anger. What did you say? I said your barking is too loud. It hurts my ears. Don't do it next time. Olivia patted Norma on the shoulder and went back to her desk. She took a look at the time and said, "It's getting late. I'll be going home now. Everyone, work hard and come up with more proposals." Good job. Olivia knew they didn't want her to help in the planning anyway. So, she didn't bother to trouble herself. Her colleagues were all shocked. They had wanted to isolate her. But it seemed like she didn't care. She even looked happy. Sophia kicked on a trash can. She called out to Olivia through gritted teeth, "Olivia Fordham, did I say you could leave?" Olivia lowered her head to look at her watch and said, "It's time to go home." Why is everyone still working then? They're doing overtime. And why aren't you doing the same? Olivia shrugged and said, "Because I don't want to." She patted Sophia on her shoulder and said, "Try your best, Miss Linden. So that you can deliver a proposal that Mr. Miller is satisfied with by tomorrow." Sophia's face grew red with anger. Her breathing became labored from the intense emotions. She had to pat herself on the chest to calm herself. "Are you okay, Miss Linden?" "I'm fine." Sophia slammed the door and said, "Go to the conference room." Olivia hummed happily when she recalled Sophia's constipated expression. Even the heavy rain didn't dampen her mood. She had already asked Everly to pick her up. Everly should be here any moment. Olivia raised her head and met Ethan's eyes. He was sitting in his black luxury car. It was apparent that he was waiting for her. Olivia nodded her head toward him as a greeting. Kelvin turned to look at Ethan and said, "Mrs. Miller doesn't seem to be getting on, Mr. Miller." In the back seat, Ethan's expression was hard to discern. "Let's go." Olivia sighed in relief when she saw the car driving away. She saw Everly's car in the distance, so she went to the side of the road to wait for her. In a turn of events, Ethan's car turned around and accelerated right next to her. Olivia was splashed with water from a roadside puddle, and the black car sped away into the distance. Everly's car stopped next to her. She tilted her head, looked at Olivia, and said, "Hey, did you go for a shower?" Chapter 214. Olivia cursed at Ethan as she sat in the front passenger seat. Everly was laughing at her misfortune. "I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it myself. Ethan was so childish. He splashed you with muddy water because you didn't get in his car. That's so evil." Olivia wiped herself with a towel. She looked upset. "That's how petty he is. I don't know if I was possessed when I fell for him." "You could have been." Everly agreed and nodded her head. She sized up Olivia before asking, "Long time no see. Have you been well?" Olivia didn't tell her about the incident where she vomited blood. "Yeah, the chemotherapy was pretty effective." Everly noticed that Olivia was in a better mood than before. Even her facial expressions looked livelier. Everly quickly said, "Why don't you consider doing it again? If it goes well, and you get to the condition where you can have surgery, you could go straight for surgery." Actually, Olivia propped her face up with her hand and looked at the scenery outside the window. "I'll go for another checkup after a while." Everly's eyes lit up. She said, "Have you changed your mind, Liv? I want to live a bit longer. At least until I find out who the person is." "What person?" Olivia shook her head and said, "It's nothing." Olivia had made up her mind. Even if she went to hell, she had to bring the person who made her life miserable down with her. Ethan saw Olivia get soaked from the rearview mirror. His anger dissipated slightly from the sight. He knew that Olivia was trying to sever her ties with him that way. A few months ago, all he wanted was to be rid of Olivia. But now that she stopped clinging to him, he became the one who couldn't let go. Ethan felt irritated whenever he thought about her distant eyes. He pulled on his collar and said, "Let's return to the Carlton residence." Marina was delighted to see him. She prepared a feast for him. Chloe was recently discharged from the hospital. She still hasn't completely recovered yet and looked a little pale. But she still tried to be a good host and kept giving Ethan more food. On the other hand, Ethan was polite and distant. He focused on playing with Connor. But no matter how much he played with Connor, Connor rarely smiled. Most of the time, he gazed outside the window. He was only a little happier when Ethan was with him. After dinner, Ethan brought Connor to the living room and played there. Marina pushed Irina and said, "Go, play with Dad." Irina had been afraid of Ethan since she was born. Normally, she wouldn't even dare to approach him, much less play with him. "Come over here," Ethan said while waving his hand at her. Irina walked to his side shakily. He reached out and picked Irina up gently. He comforted her in a soft voice, "Don't be afraid." Ethan thought that Irina looked a lot like Marina. But her eyes resembled her father's. He picked up a book and said, "Come, I'll tell the two of you a story." Marina saw the three of them together and swore to herself that she must marry Ethan as soon as possible. After the children went to sleep, Ethan and Marina entered their room simultaneously. Ethan locked the door and took out a blanket from the wardrobe expressionlessly. "Same as last night, you take the bed, I'll sleep on the couch." Marina said with a sad face, "Ethan, we're getting married soon. We're already a family." Ethan glanced at her coldly. His gaze was so cold it looked like he was ready to kill someone. "Marina Carlton, how long has he been gone? You're already getting so restless." Ethan grabbed her collar and said slowly, "Don't forget who you are, cousin-in-law." Chapter 2:15. Next morning, Olivia appeared at the office full of energy. It was a stark contrast compared to her colleagues with their bloodshot eyes and tired faces. It was like a human walking into a group of zombies. It was like she didn't remember the insults yesterday. Olivia greeted Norma politely, "Good morning." Her bright smile annoyed Norma. Norma grabbed a cup of coffee and went back to her desk. She then muttered sarcastically, "Some people sure have it easy." Olivia didn't let it slide. She said innocently, "I wanted to take part in the planning. But you guys thought I was new and was afraid I might leak the proposal. You didn't even let me in the meeting. Don't act like it's my fault now." Olivia's words triggered Norma's anger. She threw her documents on her table and said, "Olivia Fordham, what the hell are you talking about?" Olivia shrugged and said, "Nothing, just that you're a hypocrite." "Olivia Fordham, you better watch your mouth. Who do you think you are, talking to me like that?" Sophia interrupted their argument and said, "Stop yelling. I heard you from a distance away. Are you animals?" Norma quickly ran to Sophia and played the victim. "Miss Linden, she was being arrogant and insulting her colleague. Enough, stop making a scene. Do you want the other teams to make fun of us?" Sophia glared at Norma and said. Norma still wanted to argue. But Sophia had already calmed down. "Olivia, stay back after work tonight. Come with me to negotiate a contract with Mr. Lincoln." She paused and added, "This is work." She didn't even give Olivia a chance to refuse. Olivia could tell that Lincoln was a tough nut to crack from the amused expressions of the onlookers. In the afternoon, Olivia heard someone say in the bathroom, "Mr. Lincoln is so perverted. Olivia is in for it tonight. Tisk, Miss Linden is a smart one. She's getting a signed contract in exchange for Olivia. If Mr. Lincoln is happy and signs on, we'll be able to overtake Team B." If I were Olivia, I would be humbler. Why would she try to stand up for herself as a new employee? Everyone has been bullied like she has. She just had to be different, arguing with the team leader right from the start. Maybe she really has a backer. Impossible. Miss Linden has already looked into it. Mr. Ingram doesn't have a girlfriend. He doesn't even have female friends. What backer could she possibly have? The two colleagues chattering faded into the distance. Olivia came out from the cubicle. She laughed to herself at the thought of Sophia using her as leverage for a contract. She was wiping her hands when she noticed a cleaner taking out the trash. She approached her and asked politely, "Auntie, sorry to disturb you. May I ask if there is a vacancy in the cleaning crew? My mom is unemployed. I'd like for her to try applying for a job here." The cleaner said with a friendly expression, "That's fine. I think we aren't hiring right now." But I'll keep an eye out for you. Thanks, Auntie. Olivia took out a new hand cream from her bag and said, Auntie, if there ever is a vacancy, just let me know. This is a small token of appreciation. Thank you for your help. It's nothing. I just have to ask around for a bit. The cleaner didn't refuse Olivia's gift. They talked for a little bit more, and then Olivia asked the question she had on her mind. Auntie, is the cleaning crew responsible for cleaning Mr. Miller's office? Don't even think about it. His cleaner is handpicked by himself. That's not one of us. What does that mean? I saw a cleaner wiping his bookshelves when I was handing him a proposal yesterday. I thought it was weird. Why was there a cleaner there when Mr. Miller was working? Young lady, you may not know this, but she has quite the background. Chapter 216. Olivia asked because she thought it was strange. She didn't expect a real answer. What background would a cleaner have? I heard that she saved Mr. Miller's life before. Olivia was fascinated, but why is she only a cleaner if she saved his life? She had no one. She's used to the job. That's why she kept doing it. But she only cleans Mr. Miller's office. There's not much to clean. The load is fairly light. Olivia nodded and said, I see. She talked with the cleaner for a little bit more, then left. She made a mental note of the mysterious cleaner. Evening came. Olivia tagged along with Sophia to meet Lincoln. Sophia was touching up her makeup in the car. She threw occasional glances at Olivia. Olivia, I see that you're still young. If you can secure this deal with Mr. Lincoln tonight, I'll forgive what you did yesterday. Is he hard to negotiate with? For other people, yes. But for a pretty woman like you, it's a different matter. Sophia was finished with her makeup and leaned toward Olivia. Olivia could smell the heavy perfume she was wearing. The perfume made her feel a little suffocated. She furrowed her brows. Olivia, it's easier for women to climb the ladder than men. We have inherent advantages that men don't have. Do you understand what I mean? Sophia had a complicated look in her eyes. Olivia was not dumb. She knew what Sophia was talking about. I understand. I think you're a smart woman, too. You won't disappoint me, right? Olivia wanted to tell Sophia that she didn't care if she was disappointed. But she saw that they were arriving at their destination, so she held her tongue. She didn't want to cause another scene. Yeah, I'll be waiting for your good news, Olivia. Sophia looked at Olivia from head to toe again. The simple work attire worn by Olivia exuded a professional charm. Her well-proportioned figure was alluring. Even as a woman, Sophia couldn't help but be tempted by Olivia's legs in stockings. Sophia was sure that an old pervert like Lincoln would succumb to Olivia's charms. In the Golden Horizon Hotel, Olivia was carrying a file folder. She was deep in thought while following behind Sophia. Sophia thought that was because Olivia had never been to such a luxurious hotel. She whispered to Olivia, Olivia, after you get Mr. Lincoln to sign the contract, I'll make you a permanent employee. As long as you stay with our company, you can stay at hotels like these whenever you want. Olivia didn't tell her that Ethan prepared a penthouse suite on the top floor of the hotel. It was a special suite designed according to her preferences and featured everything from an infinity pool to a rooftop garden. It was as luxurious as a suite could get. Now that she thought about it, Ethan really used to dote on her. As she was thinking of the good old days when she was with Ethan, she saw Marina holding Ethan's arm when she looked up. They were walking toward a private elevator from the restaurant. Her eyes met with Ethan's, but she quickly looked away. It was like they didn't know each other. Olivia accidentally dropped the file folder. She quickly crouched down to pick up the documents that were scattered on the floor. Sophia was annoyed. Olivia, you can't afford to be so careless when we meet Mr. Lincoln. I'll go touch up my makeup. Olivia quickly went to the washroom. She thought she had already let go of her feelings for Ethan. But whenever she saw him with another woman, her heart ached uncontrollably. That was the man who used to love her and her only. Her fingers clenched when she thought about Ethan bringing Marina to the place she used to love visiting. The thought of Marina using her bathtub, wearing her robe, and sleeping with her man, it was unbearable. It was only natural. There was no way she could have let go of the feelings she felt so strongly for years in just a couple of months. Sophia knocked on the washroom door and said, "Olivia, what's taking you so long? Let's not keep Mr. Lincoln waiting." Chapter 217. Olivia collected her emotions and opened the door. Her expression was back to normal. "I'm ready." Sophia looked at her slightly pale face and said, "What kind of touching up did you do?" "Never mind, you can use my lipstick. This is the trendiest color this year that men like." The bright lipstick glided across her lips. It gave her a radiant glow. Olivia's complexion improved significantly. Sophia then sprayed some perfume on her. It was a rich and enchanting fragrance. Olivia frowned at the smell. But she was covered in it before she could decline. "Okay, let's head in. We can't keep Mr. Lincoln waiting." Sophia confirmed with Olivia yet again, "Are you sure you know the rules of the dinner table? I don't need to give you a refresher course, right?" "Yeah, I'm sure." "Okay, that's good." They arrived at the private dining room. It was unclear if Sophia had sent a picture of Olivia to Lincoln because he was unexpectedly early for once. And he was full of smiles, too. Unlike in the past, when he's always 30 minutes late intentionally. "Mr. Lincoln, I'm so sorry. We're late even though we're the ones that invited you. I'll have to drink a toast in apology. It's my pleasure to wait for beautiful ladies like yourself." "Sophia, this one looks unfamiliar. Why don't you introduce us?" Sophia smiled shyly and said, "Mr. Lincoln, this is Olivia. She's new. Say hello to Mr. Lincoln, Olivia." Lincoln was around 40 years old. He was the typical middle-aged man, greasy and pot-bellied. He squinted his eyes when he sized up Olivia. He was even more satisfied after a closer look. He thought the picture he was sent had been touched up. But she looked prettier in person. "Hi, Mr. Lincoln." Olivia greeted him expressionlessly. Lincoln immediately reached out to pull her closer to him. "Olivia, I'm an old acquaintance of your team leader. Come over and sit." Olivia didn't let him touch her. She chose a seat far away from him. She looked at Lincoln's awkward outstretched hand and Sophia's shocked expression. "Have a seat. Don't be shy." Sophia was speechless. She cursed at Olivia inwardly and held Lincoln's arm. She then said with a smile, "I apologize, Mr. Lincoln. She's new, so she doesn't know better." Lincoln's greedy gaze swept across Olivia's youthful face. He didn't seem angry. "She's still young. It's understandable. Please, have a seat, and let's bring out the food." Sophia had planned for Olivia to sit beside Lincoln. She didn't expect Olivia to pull a trick like that. She had no choice but to sit on the right side of Lincoln. A few of his trusted aides sat to his left. These aides are usually the ones that encourage the women to drink more alcohol. If they get the women drunk, the men could have their way with them. Lincoln was not in a rush. The night was still young. He engaged in idle conversation from time to time. Olivia glanced at his hand from the corner of her eye. She saw his hand almost touching Sophia's inner thigh. Sophia was clearly unhappy about it. But she didn't dare to oppose Lincoln, so she wore a forced smile. "Mr. Lincoln, have you given the contract some consideration? If you don't help me out soon, I will really get fired," Sophia said with a flirty tone. No one knew what Lincoln's hand did to Sophia under the table. She let out a soft cry. Lincoln said in a jolly voice, "Sophia, you need to have patience. I need to see how sincere you are if you want me to sign the contract." Sophia met Olivia's gaze and said, "Olivia, Mr. Lincoln wants to see how sincere we are." Olivia smiled and said, "Understood, Miss Linden." Lincoln saw Olivia stand up abruptly. He looked at her beautiful face and her slender neck. No matter where he looked, she was stunning. He started to feel anticipation when he thought about how he could have this woman for himself tonight. He wondered what Olivia would do to please him. Would she feed him some wine? Or would she feed him some food? His imagination was going wild. Olivia took a piece of pork chop and placed it on Lincoln's plate. "Here, help yourself, Mr. Lincoln." Lincoln was stunned. But Olivia didn't stop. She piled more slices onto his plate. "Why are you looking at me like that? Look at the pork chop. Is this enough sincerity? There's still more if you want. You can have it all." Chapter 218. Lincoln looked at the mountain of pork chops on his plate. Then he looked at the sincere expression on Olivia's face. He was stumped. He couldn't tell if she didn't know or if she was just pretending. Her eyes were clear. There was not a speck of pretense in them. He thought about her age and thought it was understandable to be unclear about the rules of the dinner table. Sophia was bewildered. So that was what Olivia meant when she said she understood. She thought the negotiations were done off. Lincoln would surely be severing ties with her. But the truth was that men were exceptionally patient and accommodating to pretty women. Sophia glanced at Lincoln warily. But she saw him smiling. He was not angry at all. He said, "It must be great to be young. Such youthfulness." Sophia rolled her eyes at Olivia. Olivia pretended not to see and went back to her seat. "As long as you're okay with it, Mr. Lincoln." "Of course, how could I hate that a pretty girl brought me food?" Lincoln smiled and reached out to get some salad on the table. But Olivia grabbed it and put some on her plate instead. She acted like she didn't notice Lincoln reaching for it. Sophia was rendered speechless. She was regretting her decision to bring Olivia with her. "Mr. Lincoln, please forgive her. She's still young." She was getting tired of apologizing on Olivia's behalf. Fortunately, Olivia was attractive enough. She was so attractive that Lincoln could tolerate her antics. "It's fine. I find Olivia's innocence very interesting." Sophia took the chance to look at Olivia and said, "Olivia, we were late. Let's make a toast and apologize to Mr. Lincoln for it." Olivia nodded and said, "All right, Miss Linden. Go ahead." Sophia sighed in relief when she heard Olivia agreeing so readily. At least Olivia wasn't being too outrageous. Olivia obediently stood up and filled up Sophia's glass for her. She then stood at the side with her hands beside her. Sophia coughed lightly and said, "What about your glass? Fill it up, too." "Me?" Olivia looked at her with a surprised look. "You called for the toast." "I didn't." Sophia was so frustrated she felt like she was going to vomit blood. But she couldn't express her frustration due to the circumstances at hand. She glared at Olivia and said through gritted teeth, "If you're not going to drink, then why are you even here?" Olivia looked at her innocently and said, "Didn't you bring me here to eat dinner?" Sophia's fingers were clenching her glass so hard it looked like it was going to break. Olivia added, "But if you like drinking so much, you can drink my portion too." Lincoln slammed his glass on the table with a bang. The smile on his face had faded. "Miss Linden, it seems your new recruit doesn't want to show me any respect. I think I won't be signing the contract." One of Lincoln's aides chipped in, "What's wrong with this woman? She refuses to drink at the dinner table. If you're not sincere when asking for help, no one would lend you a hand. Please don't be mad, Mr. Lincoln. She has only been with us for a few days and doesn't know any better. I'll drink on her behalf." Sophia downed her glass of wine in one go. She wanted to pour another glass, but Lincoln threw his glass on the floor. "There's no need. I do not like to force others to do things they don't want to do." He threw the contract at Sophia and said, "I have another meeting, Miss Linden. I'll be going now." As he said that, his eyes were shamelessly fixed on Olivia. His intent was clear. He could already imagine Olivia running toward him and wrapping her hands around his arms. Olivia did indeed stand up, but she placed her hands by her side. Like a waitress, she said, "Have a safe trip, Mr. Lincoln. Don't forget to foot the bill." Chapter 219. The confidence in Lincoln's face faded. He was stunned. He had never seen such an arrogant woman in his life. He was boiling with anger, but Olivia asking him to foot the bill made him laugh instead. "Very well, Miss Linden, I think you shouldn't bother me anymore. We'll never work together ever. Don't, please." Sophia was anxious. She had been negotiating with Lincoln for a very long time. She was about to succeed, but Olivia had ruined everything for her. "It's all her fault. She doesn't know anything. Please be gracious and forgive us one more time. I've planned more interesting activities. It'll be a pity if you leave now. I'll have her apologize to you." Lincoln's eyes were fixated on Olivia. She was indeed a gorgeous woman. He gently stroked the back of Sophia's hand and asked, "What interesting activities?" Sophia grounded her teeth and took a keycard out of her pocket. She said, "Mr. Lincoln, I've already prepared a place where we can spend the night." She initially planned to get Olivia drunk and send her onto Lincoln's bed. But the situation had spiraled out of her control. She had no choice. Lincoln's eyes narrowed when he saw the keycard. Since you're being so considerate, should we continue with the meal? Of course, let's eat. Sophia reassured him. I'll have her apologize to you even if I have to get her drunk. Lincoln finally stopped in his tracks after Sophia's words. All right, I'll be looking forward to what you have prepared for me. Please wait for a moment, Mr. Lincoln. I'll have a word with Olivia. Okay. Lincoln waved his hand and said, please don't disappoint me, Miss Linden. Sophia dragged Olivia out of the room and pulled her aside to a place with no one around. She said, Olivia, since we're here today, we have to land this deal with Mr. Lincoln. As long as you can make him happy, I'll not hold what happened against you. Why should I make him happy? He's neither my dad nor my son. Are all your deals secured by making men happy? Olivia's retort put Sophia on the spot. She glared at Olivia with a look of disbelief and said, Olivia, this is the workplace, not your school. I'm only guiding you because you have the looks. We're in sales. We need to be adaptable. If you don't want to land this deal, plenty of others would do it. I'll tell you the truth. Mr. Lincoln was willing to come here tonight because of you. You only have to sleep with him tonight to get him to sign the contract. With this, we'll be able to overtake Team B, and you won't be fired. It's a win-win situation. She said these words in a nonchalant tone. Olivia thought it was pathetic. If I need to sleep with everyone to get results, I would rather get fired. All right, you can be noble all you want. But if we can't win over Mr. Lincoln today, we'll both be in trouble by the end of this month. I might get scolded, but you'll be packing your bag. That's fine, I don't mind. Olivia was not in the mood to argue with her. Sophia grabbed her hand and said with a frustrated expression, Olivia Fordham, do you know you were born for this job? You don't even have to be good at negotiations. All you need to do is get naked on the bed. You can have everything you want. You're already here at Miller Group. Don't you want to climb the ladder? Not really. What about money? Don't you want that? No. Don't you want to achieve results and realize your own worth? Become a leader in the industry? Olivia shrugged and said, it's Ethan Miller's company. Why should I work so hard to make him money? Chapter 220. Sophia was astonished. It was the first time she had heard such outrageous statements. You dare call Mr. Miller by his given name? How dare you? Is he a god or a martyr? Why can't I say his name? Not only did Olivia dare to say his name, she also dared to hit him. Not only that, she's also held the company's shares. Ethan gave her some of the shares before they were divorced. She didn't have to work a day in her life. The dividends from the shares were already a hefty sum. She didn't need to sleep with Lincoln for some measly commission. You're still young. You don't know how harsh reality can be. You'll know how little control over life you have when you're at my age. If you're still angry about me picking on you before, I'll apologize. Sometimes, I have to do things I don't want to as the team leader. Olivia was amazed. Sophia was a salesperson through and through. Forceful tactics didn't work, so she tried a softer approach. Olivia, are you thinking of your boyfriend? Sleeping with clients is a common occurrence. Your boyfriend might be doing similar things for work, too. Men need to keep up a facade, but so do women. The perfect relationship doesn't exist. Every relationship has its woes these days. Don't be too love-centric as a woman. Money is the most important thing. Sophia sighed and said, Olivia, I've been through it all. I'm not trying to hurt you. We women need to acquire power by ourselves. Men are always unreliable. You're right about that, Miss Linden. Olivia looked at Sophia with clear eyes. Under Sophia's expectant gaze, Olivia patted her shoulder and said, I'll cheer for you. I hope you can steer clear of bad relationships and climb the ladder on your own merit. Good luck tonight. Hope you don't have a too hard time handling Mr. Lincoln and his potbelly. Sophia lost her patience. She tried talking to Olivia for so long, but Olivia didn't listen to anything she said. Olivia Fordham, who do you think you are? How dare you belittle Mr. Lincoln? Mr. Miller has a toned body. But do you think he would even look at you? Olivia thought she of all people, was qualified to speak about Ethan. She thought about Ethan and Marina entering the elevator together a while ago. They were probably having a good time in the room that used to be hers. She smirked and said, I won't even care if he came before me, stripped, and showed me his abs. Why would I care if he'd look at me or not? Okay, you've got guts, Olivia. I'll make you come running back to me in tears. Sophia walked away after she said that. Olivia rolled her eyes and said, crazy bitch. Olivia suddenly heard the sound of a lighter coming from behind her. It was very loud in the deserted corridor. Someone had heard her conversation with Sophia. It was such an awkward moment. Olivia wanted to run without looking back. A familiar masculine voice rang beside her as she was preparing to walk away. Don't even think about it. She turned around stiffly when she heard the voice. She saw Ethan's familiar face. He was leaning on a white pillar and playing with his lighter. His icy gaze fell on her face. Olivia felt a chill just from that. This was even more awkward than if a stranger had overheard. Olivia raised her hand and said with a stiff expression, Hi, Mr. Miller. What a coincidence. She wondered why he was here instead of being in bed with Marina. Ethan put away his lighter and approached Olivia. He stood before her and said, It's not a coincidence. I came here specifically for you. Olivia blinked and said, Weren't you with Marina? Ethan grabbed her hand and dragged her into the private elevator. Olivia's body was pressed against the side of the elevator. Ethan slowly leaned in. He said through gritted teeth, Olivia Fordham, are you never going to approach me if I don't seek you out?